West Adelaide coach Jared Mears encouraged his boys to refocus during the week. The Bloods had just come off the high of their biggest ever winning margin in the competition, with three debutants, Mitch Millen, Tom Fitzpatrick and Chris Perotta, surely thinking it was all too easy. And they were right. The reigning premiers visited Richmond Oval with their eyes on the prize, and despite a slightly shaky start in the first 3 minutes when the Bloods kicked the first 2 goals, the result was never really in doubt. After Ross Trevor College's Tasman Fitzgerald found the big sticks, the goals started rolling in with monotonous regularity. Joe Senior from the Henley Sharks and Paul Ventura from the Seaton Ramblers made sure the Eagles led at every change. Once again, the tall men were doing the damage for the Eagles, but coach Shane Grimm wanted more run from his fit youngsters. After the long break, that's what he got. Coupled with some excellent tackling and relentless pressure, the Eagles forwards were soon the dominant force in this game. The Maccas Cup MVP nomination for round 2 went to Riley Knight from the South Clare Football Club. Riley amassed 37 disposals on the night and almost managed a goal in the third quarter. But scoring goals seemingly at will was Albert Dunstan. From the Udunda Robertstown Football Club in the North Eastern Football League, Albert kicked 4 goals from 17 kicks on Friday night. His use of the ball was efficient to say the least, with 13 marks and 6 handballs giving him the best on ground tag for the evening. Albert's teammate from Udunda Robertstown, Isaiah Blumson, saw plenty of the ball too, with 3 goals and no misses in a flawless demonstration of accuracy and determination. For the Bloods, the standouts were Nick Favretto, last year's MVP from round 9, and Simon Wong, one of West's overage players and a member of last year's under-18 academy. Best on ground for West was Ryan Simister, part of the state team trial out on Max Bashir Reserve earlier this year. Ryan's 6 kicks and 14 handballs, not enough to stop the juggernaut. The Premiers look good for 2013, winners by 109 points over West Adelaide. The match of the round in sensational conditions was out at Alberton Oval. Smarting from their first up loss to the Eagles last week, the Double Blues entered round 2 with a solid team headed by coach Michael Borden. The Magpies, still on a high after beating Norwood over Easter, expected to win, and they might have too if the game had stopped at three-quarter time. In a game that ebbed and flowed for 3 quarters, the big difference between these sides turned out to be endurance. When Port Adelaide lost their big ruckman Fraser Thorne, the door opened for Sturt and they stepped on through. Fraser's 34 hitouts made up the dominant stat on the day, and his absence was telling. Sturt's tall man Henry Voigt from the Goodwood Saints Football Club worked the ruck for Sturt with more than half of his side's hitouts all to himself. At 193 centimetres, Henry won 22 hitouts and also managed 21 disposals for Sturt. But even he needed a rest, and when Luke Andreskovic moved in from centre half-back, the ruck contest was in good hands. From Macclesfield, Luke didn't disappoint his coach. Dashing out of full-back on more than one occasion was Levi Elms, a local lad from Concordia College. With 8 rebounds to his name, the Sturt defence was safe and sure when Levi got a hold of the ball. A keen basketballer, Levi rarely makes mistakes with his hands. Oh, and his feet are pretty good too, with 12 kicks for the match. For the Magpies, Jack Harsmer from the Ramblers Football Club ruled the midfield with 10 perfect kicks, and 16-year-old Keanu Miller booted 2 goals from his 4 incursions inside 50. Tom Corcoran from the Port Districts Football Club was also in good form for Port. Playing cricket in the summer, Tom was Port's leading possession getter on Saturday with 24 kicks and 8 handballs, but after being 15 points down at the final change, the final turn belonged to Sturt as they kicked 9 goals to 1 to seal the win. Most of Sturt's goals came from the boot of Dylan Hollett. From Murray Bridge, Dylan made his presence felt in the goal square, kicking 6 goals from just 9 kicks. In the end, it was Sturt by 35 points. After the lights went out in the league game on Friday night at the parade, the sun shone brightly on Saturday afternoon. It wasn't pretty, but the fans who turned up got to watch a gutsy display of hard-fought contested football. Glenelg's round 1 skirmish was against Tony Bamford's Panthers down at Noarlunga. This was a far greater test of the Tigers' resolve. David Odie's Redlegs were still coming to terms with a first-up loss to Port. It was a difficult way for Norwood to start off the season. The Tigers started by rushing the ball through the middle. It's not what the Tigers coach Adam Blakely wanted, but it didn't work out too badly. Glenelg was 4 goals up at the first break. Norwood had scored just the 1 goal through their bottom ager, Cameron Tiggerman from Ross Trevor College. The second quarter was scrappy, tight and congested, with the ball seldom breaking free of the ruck contest. But when it did, it was in the safe hands of Luke O'Connor from the Coniva Lior Football Club, over in the Cowie Narracourt Tatiara Football League. Now that's a mouthful. The Redlegs had their hands full dealing with Luke. With 19 disposals for the day, the midfielder scored 2 goals for the Bays and set up a bunch more. Also with a goal to his name was Jack Donkersley, part of last year's under-16 state squad. From Plympton Football Club, Jack got it right at the parade with his 17 kicks and 8 handballs, and even though he was playing across half-back, he produced a pretty handy goal in the first quarter. George Johnson wasn't there to score goals, he was there to stop Norwood scoring. Good movement off the ball saw George take 4 uncontested marks, mostly out the back from where he effectively fed the forwards. But Norwood had a blinder of a third quarter, restricting the Tigers to just 1 solitary point and bringing the lead back to 16 points. Cameron Tigerman and Sebastian Edwards made it interesting with goals in the 17th and 27th minutes. And when Tigerman scored the first goal of the final term, the Tigers were in for a fight. But more tight contested football saw them hold out to take the match in the end. Not the best game of the round, but Glenelg took the points, winners by 22 points. The Roosters under-18 team played its first game for the new season under the guidance of a new coach. With over 300 SANFL games under his belt, the 2002 Magarey medalist Tim Weatherald is in charge of the youngsters at Prospect, and he's loving it. And what a way to start. The fixture list popped up with Central District, and it turned out to be a good way to get rid of the cobwebs. Just 5 goals up at half-time, Tim let the leash off for the second half, and the Roosters plundered the Dogs' goal to the tune of 16 goals. Tim has 7 college boys to look after. 6 of them he picks up from Prince Alfred College to take to training. Now that's dedication. One of them is George Hewitt. George played the pre-season trials with the reserves, and he will no doubt be playing with them again soon enough. On Saturday in the sunshine, he amassed 13 kicks and 19 handballs while picking up 8 uncontested marks. At under-18 or reserves level, the Roosters will miss him when he, like so many others, will head back to play college football in the middle of the season. Another player expected to play reserves football soon is Luke Trenorden. Dropped by Glenelg over Christmas, Luke was gratefully snapped up by North Adelaide. An overaged player, Luke was preceded by his cousin Henry at Menzies Crescent. Trenorden, now a name synonymous with the Roosters. Between Trenorden and Joshua Ingram, the 2 ruckmen scored 9 of North's 23 goals. It's good to share the spoils around. Sam De Leonardis made the best of a free run to notch up 30 touches. Sam played reserves football in 2012, and as another overaged player, he was by far North's best 4-quarter player on Saturday. The Dogs tripled their goal count from round 1, but the margin was still over 100 points. Best for Central was Nathan Casbolt from the Barossa District Bulldogs. Nathan scored 2 goals from 12 kicks and pushed into North's 50 on 6 occasions. The other goals came from Giles O'Driscoll and Jordan Furnell, but they needed about 18 more. To wrap up round 2, it was Timmy's Roosters by 112 points.